And we are live. Welcome to Retro Reload. I am your host, Jeremy Coleman. I should get my last name, but I did. And we're going to have a great show today. We're going to have some pickups. Are you a cheater? And a little bit of news. But first, let's meet our co-host.
I'm T-Bugman.
Hello, I am Lizzie Hedgehog.
I am not the original, but hopefully the best, Dashby.
So we've got a little bit of news today. The first one is, have you seen this? A 24 karat NES. Carat as in, not a carat, but, jewelry. What do you guys think about this 24 karat gold Nintendo? Nash, what's your thoughts on this?
Oh man, you had to pick me first. My thoughts on it. First of all, impressive, right? So very, very nice, very stylish. But they're only making 10 of them, from what I understand, and they're going for $5,000 a pop. They play both Nintendo and Famicom release games, and it has 4 controller ports built in, so it's got like a built-in 4-score. So it is kind of like the Cadillac of Nintendo's. That said, for $5,000, like, this thing better make me breakfast. It better, there's just so many other things I could do with $5,000.
With an HDMI upgrade, you telling us that's not worth $5,000?
Considering that you can get the kit and do it yourself for under $500, I'm telling you that's not a good deal.
Okay. How about you, Tyler? Would you spend $5,000 for this gold NES?
Hell no. I don't even get, why. I mean, it's filling a need that doesn't exist. I don't get it. I mean, it's cool to look at, yes, but, I don't understand.
Would you even want to play it if you had it, or would you want to put it in a glass case? Because you don't want to scratch this thing. That's what I want to do.
I don't know. I think if I had it, I would just try to sell it for more money. I don't know.
With it?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe to buy it for $5,000 and turn around and sell it for $50,000. I take it back. I want one. I must have one.
Well, the price of gold just keeps going up, so
Yeah, I know, right? It might be a better investment than stocks, maybe.
Now, would the flea get one? I say yes.
The flea's gonna have if the flea's gonna find one at a yard sale next week for $1.
Yeah, sure. $10 with controllers.
And then he's gonna talk them down to 50 cents, and they'll throw in a Sega Genesis and the complete library and a copy of Earthbound.
I can see that.
That man is so lucky.
Now we know Lizzie's a Sega fan, but Lizzie, could you spend $5,000 on this beautiful gold NES?
No, because I don't see why. I mean, is it heavy? Is it real gold? Is it fool's gold? I mean, can you actually play games? Is it just for show? Where are you gonna put it? Because I've got the Retron 5, and they can play, the NES and Famicom and Game Gear. I mean, not Game Gear, but Game Boy Advance, all that. And $5,000. I'm sorry, Nintendo, but my money's tied up with Sonic right now. You're not getting anything from me.
Would you buy a $5,000 gold Sonic? Look, you're thinking about it.
I don't know. Maybe you scared my phone. No. I love you, Sonic, but no, not for $5,000.
We're gonna let Sonic know about that one.
So it is just to fill in the gaps, Lizzie. It does work. It is a fully working NES console. The other thing too is this. Hey, this might sway you, right? They realize that $5,000 is a hefty price, so they're willing to throw in a free cartridge of The Legend of Zelda, valued at $30.
I don't play Legend of Zelda.
Oh man, that's probably one of the most controversial things that's been said on the show ever.
He's too pretty for me. I can't do it.
Too pretty. Chris said the same thing before. So.
That's my excuse. You're too pretty. I won't play with you.
Alrighty.
Oh crap!
And that's not saying Sonic's ugly. It's just Sonic's cute. I don't have to worry about Sonic being prettier than me.
So our next topic, I don't know if you guys seen this, but 29 years later, a new Punch-Out secret was discovered. That's impressive. 29 years.
I read about that. This is the one where what is it? The
The guy dunks on the second fighter, and that's when you swing for a one hit KO.
Yes.
Now, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a little guy in the background, right?
Yeah, an audience.
He goes, it's Red-Bearded Gamer in the background, and he goes, and then you punch.
Well, I wasn't born yet.
Well, it's Red-Bearded Gamer from the future going back into the past to give us hints.
Oh, man.
Interesting, though, because you would think a developer by now would show this. Because someone had to know that was there. And quite 30 years, like, hey, no one's found my secret yet.
Now, supposedly, there's another cheat that was found with Punch-Out earlier, where if you were to throw a punch for certain fighters, there's a photographer that flashes a picture, and you see like the bulb flash, and supposedly that's a time-linked event also where if you punch at the time that the bulb flashes, every time you'll get like a one-hit KO for certain other characters. So I guess what I'm getting at is that for some of these harder characters, maybe the game is loaded with these little tells, and we just haven't looked through the sea of muddy 8-bit faces to be able to
concentrate too, because I was trying to watch it. I was like, how do you notice that when you're trying to concentrate on the foreground? It kind of hurt my eyes.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I remember hearing that when they made a bunch of these games, Japan never intended for the American gamers to be able to beat these games. I mean, look at Battletoads. I mean, no one can beat Battletoads, but like Super Mario, they said that they never intended on us being able to beat it. You're like, well, I can't beat it all the time, I'll be honest, because 8.3 is hard. But yeah, it's kind of interesting what you're finding now. You're like, wow, 20 years ago, I wish I had known this, then I wouldn't have thrown my controller at the TV.
I saw a lot of people say that. I wish I knew that when I was a kid.
Yeah, Fighter Pilot could have saved many an N64 controller if he had known some of the
like I said, I've broken about at least 3 N64 controllers in my life when I was a kid. All right, so our next topic are the PS4 numbers, the Xbox One. So we're saying the PS4 is to reach 69 million by 2019. To the Xbox, 39 million. That's quite the outpacing right there.
Yeah, but I guess I personally have a couple problems with this. But I'll let other folks go first, and then I'll give my problems with it.
Well, it also could tie into the whole. Well, this is Xbox One's last, generation.
Yeah.
They're doing so not poorly because 40 million is impressive.
Sorry, my cat went out.
Lizzie's like, I just completely opt out of this discussion. It's Microsoft. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it. I mean, everybody knows that this generation Sony seems to have won, if there's actually a battle to be fought. But I mean...
Well, Eric is saying, this is console systems are dying. But you look at these numbers, console systems aren't dying because, 70 million, 40 million, that's a lot of systems to be sold.
No, it is.
Yeah. So I think personally the biggest problem that I have with it is, to me, that's like sensationalism at its worst. Like, let me project way far out into the future. Like, you're talking, it's 2016 right now. So let me project based on right now what 2019 is going to look like and use that to bash 2016. Like, I think we have enough fact to go on that Sony is dominating in terms of sales over Microsoft to be able to make statements now about whether or not Microsoft's in trouble and all that other stuff. I don't see a need to like project into the future and inflate the numbers to try to make or reinforce the case. I think, like you said, Jeremy, it's pretty much accepted at this point that the Xbox One is second place to the PlayStation 4. I think maybe more interesting is to speculate about how much more footing Microsoft may stand to lose in the wake of the launch of a new console by Nintendo. Do we think that in the next couple of years Nintendo is going to take that second place spot? Because I don't believe they'll take the number one. But do we think that second place is still open, or do we think that they're going to trail even further behind Microsoft? I think those conversations are much better to have than just kind of dogpiling hate on top of Microsoft.
Well, also think about it. Well, you got the 4.5 rumor coming out now. Are they adding to that? Like, oh, well, everyone's going to upgrade, so that's going to inflate Sony's numbers.
Could be. Liz, you look like you were going to say something?
Well, it's just, I don't want to say anything negative about the Xbox, but it's like, well, I don't own it because, I mean, there's nothing on there I like. I mean, the Sonic games, most of them are on the Wii U, so I can just buy the Wii U versions and still collect the Xbox just for the sake of, you know, collecting. But I've always wanted a PlayStation. Now I finally have the PS4. I just don't really care much for the Xbox. I mean, I don't see them anything great because ever since the beginning, all I ever saw was just negative. You know, negative reviews and things like that. So it's kind of like I'm not interested. I will gladly support Sony, and I'm looking forward to the Nintendo NX. But hopefully the Nintendo NX does get that second spot, because I do see them getting a second spot, because I do see maybe Xbox pushing to third, only because it's going to be a new console. That means all the kids are going to want it. And that's going to be like, whew, every kid's going to want the Nintendo NX. And so will most of us, you know, old school gamers. We're going to be like, oh, I got to have that too. So that's what I think is going to happen.
I'm actually saving up for Xbox NX or Xbox NX.
The Xbox NX. Wow, that's a bombshell. You heard it here first, folks, on Retro Reload. The Xbox NX.
That's right. So should we do it? Chameleon finally pulling the plug, or should we just skip that all?
You know, it came.
Not a whole lot to say. So.
It's gone. I think we're.
Yeah, it's dead.
I pulled the plug. They're not going to do it. That's about all we have to say about this mess.
No ET comeback.
You know, there's one thing that I'm kind of curious to find what's going to happen with it, though, is what's going to happen to the Jaguar shells now, or the molds. I mean. You know, is Mike Kennedy going to try and sell them to recoup from some of his money he lost?
You're going to find them. You're going to find them as decorative commode covers in your local Lowe's and Home Depot.
New Mexico, land up.
Yeah.
So, guys, I heard we got some good pickups this week. Lizzie, would you like to go first?
Yes. I only got one pickup. I've really been getting into collecting the old retro Sonic books. This one's from the UK, and it was priced like $2.99. Unfortunately, this sucker, I got it off of Amazon. This was like $20. I had to pay $20 because it's an old school one, and I look back online. There is one more for $20, and then it's gradually going up to almost $300 just for this little book that's brand new. Yeah.
For a book without pictures.
Yeah. No, I found something out cool. You can't really see it, but up here in the corner,
yeah,
they actually draw Sonic in different positions, and if you actually flip the pages, it connects and moves.
Oh, that's neat.
Okay.
It's like a flip book. That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all words. You got to use your imagination, people.
Yeah,
you know.
I lost that when I was a kid.
Yeah, and you know, it's a good book. It's from, well, it was made in the UK. That's clear. But the fact that all these old school Sonic books are now going for $300 online, it's like, you better start collecting these and just keep them somewhere safe. Because I mean, you know, I know.
It was bad sometimes. What, $300? Dang.
Oh, I won't pay $300. I mean, with the shipping, I pay $20. That I will do only because these are going to be collected and won't be touched again afterwards. They'll just be on the nice shelf.
They'll be on the nice shelf right next to her $5,000 solid gold Nintendo.
How about you, Chris? Any good this week?
Yeah, a couple of things. So, at this point, I pretty much have like the main body of games that I want. So now I'm in that mode where like I've done my retro backfill, and basically I'm like waiting on pre-orders for new stuff now, which is kind of weird. But so what I've been doing to kind of still get my retro fix is going through my collection and figuring out like what games and what systems I want to complete. Meaning, like, I might have the cart, but I want to have the manual, or I want to have the box, that kind of thing. And you find really interesting inconsistencies with eBay. One of those inconsistencies will be, manuals I typically only get if they're like $7. So between $7 to $8, including shipping. So like total $7 to $8. I won't go higher than. And I found a really nice condition Maniac Mansion manual for Maniac Mansion for the NES. So that gives me the cart. I have the plastic sleeve, and now I have the manual, which for most games I'm okay with. I'm okay with not having the box. But every now and then I will go all in and grab it in the box.
Ooh.
This is Bad News Baseball, complete in the box, and literally complete in the box. It's got the game. It's got the plastic sleeve.
Nice.
And it's got all of the original inserts. So it's got like a, I think this is a Nintendo Power advertisement. It's got an offer to get a special watch from Tecmo.
Ooh, you should send that in and see what the response is.
I know, right? Be like, hey, look, this got out a little bit late, but yeah, it's kind of neat to see like the art and how they kind of presented stuff back then. Back when, wow, when Ninja Gaiden 2 was new. That was amazing. But it came with this poster. So it's got the there's the oops, helps if I don't hold it upside down. So there's the poster, which is kind of neat, and then obviously the instructions. So interesting thing, I already own the game. I already own the cartridge, Bad News Baseball. So maybe in a future show we'll do some kind of giveaway or something where, you know, something happens to that. But you'll just have to stay tuned to find out. What was interesting, though, the reason I got it complete in box is because the manual on this had gotten to be so expensive, it only cost me $10 more to get the whole thing complete than to get just the manual.
Wow.
Really?
So why?
Manual?
What's that?
Is there something special about the manual?
No, it's just it's a very the game. It was a good game, but I think some games kind of like Mega Man. I don't think it was that the game wasn't popular. I don't think it's that the game didn't have enough copies. It is a very good game. I think it's listed as, if not the best baseball game on the Nintendo, at least the second best, with the best arguably being RBI Baseball. But this is basically RBI Baseball with really kid-friendly sprites. You can see it's got a rabbit for an umpire. It's got boys. There's also and the code for this is in the manual. There's a cheat code in the manual, and let's see, you guys, I'll tell you what the cheat code is, but there's a cheat code where you can play as girls' teams.
Ooh.
That's cool.
So you can play all girl characters. So here we go. Where does it have it? I think it's in the manual somewhere. And I remember having the game when I was a kid, but the game that I had, we bought it used, and we didn't have the manual, and they never covered it in Nintendo Power because it was in the manual. So I never knew what the code was to play girls' teams, but I had always wanted to try to figure it out because I have three younger sisters, and I wanted to actually play the baseball game with them, and they didn't want to play it, and I thought maybe if I knew how to, like, you know, do the girls' teams thing, maybe they would actually play baseball with me, but trying to see if I can find it in here. I do not see it in here. Was I lied to? I might have been lied to.
I feel like having Sonic pop up and say, "I'm waiting."
I know, right? Well, I can't find it now, but Yeah, I can't find it now. I could have sworn there was something that was supposed to be in the... Because it says, you can see that it says that you can play boys teams and play girls teams. And but anyway, it's a really fun game. It's got some really cool... What's really neat is that when you... there's animations between stuff. So if it's a close call of you getting to first or third or whatever, it'll actually cut to like this little animated sequence of like your person like sliding, and then there's a dust cloud, and then like there's this build up like, did you make it, did you not make it, and then it will call you as safe or out. There's digitized voices that do things like strike, safe, out, things like that. When you hit home runs, they have different animations for home runs, and one of my personal favorites is you actually see the earth, and you see this baseball come out of the earth, and the baseball is screaming, and the baseball goes like flying into outer space, and then your character goes down the line like high-fiving everybody, and then there's this really weird looking person that's like, he looks like he's very festive. He's way more festive than the rest of the characters, and so but he's at the very end of the line, and he's just kind of there, and you're like, whoa, that guy's kind of creepy.
Was it the manager?
But no, I think he was the mascot or something like that. Okay. But yeah, so when someone else is talking, I'm probably gonna keep looking for that cheat code on here.
I actually already found it. I don't know if you want me to say
go ahead. Go ahead. What was it?
So it says you hold down and left on controller 1 and up on controller 2. Then you push a reset on the console.
Yes. You know what?
It seems very...
And it is. It's there on page 28 of the manual.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's exactly what you just said. So, so yeah, so that's a good little pickup. But sometimes you'll find weird stuff like that, right? Where it's cheaper on, it's cheaper to get it, or in this case, it wasn't cheaper, but it was only $10 more expensive to get all this extra stuff with it, plus a box and all that other stuff. I could almost turn around and sell my extra copy of the game if I really wanted to. And you know, ended up at the end of the day, I would have ended up getting the manual for effectively the you know, $7 to $10. That's my upper limit. So, so I do have one other item. Do we want to guess at all? You don't have to necessarily guess what it is, but do you want to try to guess like console or guess the...
Is it Sega related?
You know what? I honestly don't remember. So. Lizzie's guessing that it's Sega related. What's your guess, Jeremy?
Is it a box? Let's see. That's a box.
A small Amazon box.
Hmm.
It's not from Amazon though.
It is. It is. Well, it's from eBay, but they wrapped it in an Amazon box. For comparison purposes, here's how big a Nintendo cartridge is.
That's gaming related, right?
It is gaming related. Yes. I hope. How embarrassing would that be if I opened like lingerie or something?
Yeah, lingerie for you.
I say a stack of manuals. It's a random guess, but I'm gonna go with that.
A what?
Stack of manuals.
Stack of manuals. All right. What's your guess, Tyler?
I'm gonna go with a PlayStation 4 game.
I thought you were just saying the PlayStation 4 console. I'm like, dude, like. We should have bet money on that one.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. Well, it is Sega related.
Woohoo!
Does anybody want to go for Liz? Do you want to give a second guess?
Is it Sonic related?
It is not Sonic related. What about you, Jeremy?
I got nothing.
Nothing. All right, Tyler.
I don't know.
All I'm gonna say, Jeremy, is as soon I just saw it, so now I'm like, oh yeah. What was that?
Streets of Rage.
No, Jeremy, you're gonna be kicking yourself because you totally know me well enough to have been able to guess this.
Damn it!
Blaster Master 2 complete for the Sega Genesis.
Wow.
I didn't know there was a second one.
Yes, there was. There was. So I got the. Now I have it. I got the manual. I got the game. So now I understand that some purists don't like the game because some of the changes that they made with it. It was a different team, I think, than the original Blaster Master development team. But I'm kind of psyched to see it. I saw an interview, or not an interview, a review online where somebody who was a big fan of the game reviewed it, and they actually enjoyed it quite a bit. Most of the other reviews that I'd read were people that just went back to play like every game in the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And folks that were just playing it to play it didn't really like Blaster Master 2, but this one guy who just seemed to like really enjoy Blaster Master said that he enjoyed his time with Blaster Master 2, so I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. So,
What is Blaster Master?
Have you played it before?
oh my goodness, Liz.
Damn.
After the show, and in a link in the doodly-doo, right, we can tell you the story of Blaster Master.
We can.
I played Road Blaster. That sucker was awesome.
What is Master Blaster, man? That's gonna upset him. That's like him asking who's Sonic.
No, that's okay. I can understand. Blaster Master was kind of an obscure title. In fact, interesting trivia. The first Blaster Master game had on it... Let me see if I got it over here. Do I have it? So the first Blaster Master game had... Oh, it's not on the case, but on the box it said based on the arcade hit, because they were actually working on an arcade version of the game, but the problem that they had with it was Blaster Master is kind of an involved game, and it took too long. The game didn't kill you immediately, right? The game has this way of like letting you, think that you know what you're doing, think that you actually got a shot, and then 20 minutes in, it just completely owns you. So that works well for an in-home, on your console gaming experience. Doesn't work well for somebody who paid their quarter and now they're getting like an hour of game time out of the machine. So they ended up scrapping the arcade version of it, but that was after they'd already printed all these boxes that said that the home version was based on the arcade hit.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So those are my pickups.
Got a pickup, and I've been wanting this thing for forever. You guys know this, but I finally got the 3DS.
Awesome.
And I'm loving it, and I got Animal Crossing New Leaf with it.
Which version did you get?
Nintendo?
Yeah, 3DS.
New Nintendo XL, the newest one. The XL.
Oh, the new one. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's 175 at Best Buy Target, and I was like, this is what I've been waiting for it to go on sale, and I picked it up.
So what do you think of Animal Crossing? I know before I've said on the show that you didn't strike me as the Animal Crossing type. Was I wrong?
Day 2 of into the game, and I'm loving it. Like, I don't regret buying it at all.
Very nice. That's good to know. That's good to know. What? Give us a little rundown. Like, what is Animal Crossing? Is it an RPG? Is it an action game? What is it?
I was gonna explain it. You're on a train, and the guy's like, he's setting you up. Like, what's your name? What do you want in your town? So you're out of town, and I'm like, oh, you're the new mayor. You're like, what? I'm the new mayor. So you pretty much gotta improve this town, make money, build your house, improve your house, and I'm barely day 2 in the game, but pretty much you gotta improve the whole town, make everybody happy. So that's what I'm right
It's
now.
almost like a simulation sort of sounding game.
Yeah, it sounds very simulation.
Based off real time. So if it's daytime at your house, it's daytime in the game, and it's nighttime. Yeah. Well, let's say your house will be built tomorrow. Literally means tomorrow when you wake up, the house will be finished.
Interesting.
You're also the only human, which is like kind of weird, being surrounded by animals.
That's true. It's kind of weird like that.
Something tells me Miss Hedgehog would be totally fine with that, though.
Yes.
Something tells me you could live a perfectly happy life in the wilderness with Sonic and his animal friends.
I could. But that's another story.
Yeah, that's my pickup for the week. And I bought it Sunday. I was at Best Buy and it took forever. And like, hey, I got the right opening. Hey, can I get the CVS? Oh yeah, I'll be back. 10, 15 minutes later, finally come back with keys. And it was hot in there too. I was very happy.
He had to go all the way to Japan to get it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So on to our main topic. I gotta ask you guys questions. Are you guys a cheater?
I have to say, I enjoy cheating in video games.
Yeah, I like to cheat too.
Yeah.
Tyler, are you a cheater?
Not usually. I don't. I mean, it depends on the game, but not usually.
And how about you, Lizzie? Are you a cheater?
It depends what mood I'm in.
So I'm sure you're wondering, why am I asking are we cheaters? Well, there's cheating devices, codes, and walkthroughs for games. This is a Game Boy Advance Game Shark. Dash has a bunch of Game Genie.
I have various Game Genies.
Dang, dude.
So I have an interesting question, right? And I don't know, Liz might already know this one, but so the Game Genie, like I think most people remember Game Genie. Pretty much Nintendo flew off the handle and tried to sue Galoob, right? Sega said, "Hey, Game Genie, that's pretty awesome. How about we officially license it, and you know we address some of the concerns about people can lose their save games and all that other stuff." So because of Sega and their willingness, but hey, let's make it so that people don't lose their saves and stuff. That's actually why the Game Genies started developing on-off switches, so that you could actually turn the game. You wouldn't have to take the Game Genie out, but you could turn it off if you wanted to put in a game that you were afraid that it might damage the save file.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the other thing, though, too, that I wonder if, and it'd be really interesting to have somebody on the show that might know this. So if somebody that might know this is watching, send us a comment or something. I'm curious if Sega's licensing of the Game Genie gave them any insights or any inspiration for what later became lock-on technology for Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the concept of putting a cartridge in a cartridge and then using one to modify code from the other sounds very Game Genie-ish. Now, I understand the technology under the hood might be radically different from a software standpoint, but I wonder if this kind of opened the door to them going, we could release a game now and then release another game later that does stuff with that first game. I mean...
And that would explain the console wars.
So, what do you think, Liz? Do you think there's any possibility there? There's some inspiration.
Well, I think so, because I remember when I bought Sonic and Knuckles, and I played Sonic 2, and I remember reading the manuals like, Knuckles can climb up here and go where Sonic can't. And at the time, Tails couldn't fly in Sonic 2. I don't know why, but he couldn't fly. And so what I would do is I would play the game as Knuckles and climb up walls and go to all these random places where Sonic can't reach.
Yeah.
And, I played that game and I finished it and I beat it. But then I go, okay, well, I know there's a debug code in Sonic 2. So I thought, let me test out the debug code and do the exact same thing with Knuckles. Where Knuckles went, let me see if Sonic can go there. And, sure enough, some of that stuff is up there. Not all of it. So some of it was extra add-on. But, like, some of the hidden rings and, like, an extra life, you're like, wow, so what do I need to do as a normal Sonic player to do this over again? You can't. It's like designed specifically for Knuckles. Yeah. Unless you do the debug code, you can't touch it at all.
This does work, by the way. just so you know, this does work.
Now, what happens when you play it, though?
I think what'll happen is, because since this isn't I think I'll have to hold down a certain cheat code button combination. I don't remember off the top of my head what it is, but if I hold down a certain button combination, I think what'll happen is I'll go to a randomized version of the special stage. First it'll say no way, no way, no way, right?
No way, no way.
Yeah, it'll do the whole no way, and it'll all scroll across saying that basically this is a game that's not supposed to lock on. But if at that screen you input a special code, it'll actually take you to a special stage that is made based on data that they pulled from the game. So the layout of the eggs and all that other stuff is based on some kind of data that they pull from the game. Because every game that you put in that says no way, if you do the button code, you'll get a completely different special stage layout.
I haven't tried it with other games because I only had the Sonic games. I did try like the Sonic 1 game, Sonic Spinball, and I remember it doing all that just fine. I was kind of disappointed too. I really wanted to see Knuckles and Sonic Spinball. I really thought, hey, that would be awesome. Sega didn't think about that one. I mean, that would have been really cool. You cannot do it in Sonic 1. It can only be like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. But you know, there's so many modified stuff out there now and hacks out there to do Knuckles in Sonic 1.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that, but like without with the walk-on technology, it's only in specific games. But
Yeah.
I actually remember playing all the special stages, and you're like, you win, you get a perfect. Guess what? You have to jump 10 levels, and you do it again, and it keeps going
Man.
faster and more difficult. I remember not blinking, like, oh my gosh, where am I? And then you find out where you're at. You're like, oh my gosh, this is level 100 and so and so. Because I kept skipping 10 levels. So when you get a perfect, you skip 10 levels. So yeah, that was something pretty crazy that Sega did. I really wish they'd do it again though. I mean, they had something pretty cool there.
So they were replaying the levels, but they would up the speed and difficulty.
Yes.
Gotcha. I didn't know that they did that.
Well, no. It's the little special stages. You know you have to collect all those
Yeah.
all those spheres. But then like if you did really good, you would skip 10 levels. But then it would go a little faster, be a little bit more difficult, and then you don't want to blink because if you blink, you're gonna miss and you're gonna hit something.
Don't blink.
Yeah.
Blink and you're dead. Our Doctor Who fans will know what I was just talking about there. But so I think most of us, we may not all have them, but I think most of us are at least familiar with the Game Genie, right?
Yes, I can never find one. That's not
pretty
fair.
much. Well, what's cool is on the eBays, by and large, the action replays and the Game Sharks have kind of gotten ridiculous in price because those were less common. But the Game Genies are still ridiculously cheap. I think just about every console from Game Boy to NES to Game Gear. The Game Gear one looks like a jock strap, kind of. It's like really weird. But anyway, but all the game genies are still. I think you can get them for any one of those systems I just mentioned for $20 or less shipped.
Yeah, I've seen something 15 before.
So yeah, looks like we lost Lizzie, but
I think your jockstrap comment shocked her.
I think what happened was she was just like, oh, TMI, and she just kind of disappeared off the show. So.
And we got it back.
Here she comes.
That was weird. It actually said big error problem. So
I thought maybe the Game Gear Game Genie looks like a jockstrap comment, maybe.
No. It just said error something. So I was like, oh.
Gotcha.
What are you mad? Because I'm dressed as a Mario girl and he's right there.
So, have any of you guys heard of the Nanitech Game Saver?
No.
This is the Nanitech Game Saver, right here. You can. It's kind of an interesting contraption.
Super Nintendo, isn't
it? It is. The way that it works is you take your Super Nintendo, you take the Game Saver, you plug it into Super Nintendo, you take the power. You plug the power into your Super Nintendo's power, and then you take the Super Nintendo's adapter and plug it into the back right there. Then you take your game, and you plug your game into the back like so.
That's too much trouble.
So what's really interesting is if you ever wanted to play live-action Tetris,
that's what it looks like.
It's like a free mini game, right? You just kind of like okay, there we go. But the other interesting thing is that it had batteries in the back, and the reason for the batteries in the back is because this is a cheating device unlike most cheating devices, when you're playing a game on, say, an emulator, everybody's familiar with save states, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can save like exactly where you're at and resume from exactly where you're at. This gives you save states in hardware. So you can actually hit a button combination, and it will cause, it'll save what's going on, and then you can hit another button combination, and it'll revert back to where you'd previously saved. It's not perfect. Works with some games better than others. There's also a manual which I don't remember if I don't think I got this in the box. I think I just got it shrink wrapped and everything. But I did download the manual online, and for some games you have to put in a special code. And I think what the code appears to do is the code changes what some of the hotkeys are, because not every game. For some games, the hotkey might actually be like a command in the game, or cause you to do something that would make you die in the game while you're trying to save, defeating the whole purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, for Star Fox, and I will dig through my personal notes and drop the details in the doodly-doo later, it is commonly believed that this will not work on Star Fox, but that is completely untrue. This actually works perfectly in Star Fox, but the key combination is not what you think it would be. So I'm going to go dig that up offline, and I will post that as a comment. So the other thing, too, is that there are two things that this can do. It can save state and reload state, as well as slow motion.
That's cool.
So it's pretty darn good. So if you're playing like Battletoads, for example, Battle Maniacs, and you're trying to make it through the tunnels and everything, the slow motion definitely helps out a ton.
Does it work like a slow motion controller, like where it just keeps pressing pause off and on? Or is it,
No, actually, that's a really good question. No, this is true, no kidding, slow motion. Somehow they actually slowed the. Somehow they actually, because they're sitting between the game code and the device, they actually slow down. They've got a couple different methods. One of the methods can cause graphical glitching depending on whether or not they were painting the screen all at once or if they were doing like interlaced.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other slow motion mode is for, one of them is if they were doing interlaced, the other is if they were doing non-interlaced. So, but another interesting thing is that you can actually, because there's no tabs or anything, I think at the time, eBay time, this was like 2 years ago I bought this. I got it for $20 off of Stone Age Gamer. You can use Super Famicom as well as Famicom games without having to damage your Super Nintendo internals, which is really cool. Like, I know a lot of folks to do their there's two tabs that all the North American consoles have, and so that won't let you put a Super Famicom game in here. It won't work. And so what some people do is they take pliers and they rip those. Let's see if I can. They rip those plastic tabs out. Don't do that. Don't desecrate your console. Play live-action Tetris, and then use either region. It works just fine. And you can turn it on and off, so you don't have to use the feature of the Game Saver. The other interesting bit is that it does work with the Game Genie, so you can stack the Super Nintendo Game Genie into it plus a game, and that works.
The Nintendo's version of the 32X and Sega CD, pretty much.
Yes, I do have one other one, if you don't mind me bogarting some of the time.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
So, did any of you guys ever hear of the Game Action Replay?
No.
I'm not talking about the action replay, I mean the Game Action Replay. This device required you to actually dismantle your Nintendo console so that you could physically install it as a permanent fixture within your system. And at the end of the day, what that gained you was basically what I just showed you for the Super Nintendo. You could do save states in hardware. And like with the other system, it wasn't perfect, but what was nice about this one is that this one actually had an on-screen menu, so you could either use the shortcut keys, or one of the shortcut keys would open up a menu, and they actually had different levels of slow motion. So you could do like 1x, 2x, all the way up to 5x, which makes certain parts of Battletoads now actually beatable by a human being. And then there were other things that you could do, like you could change some of the combo keys and things like that. But, like I mentioned, you have to take your Nintendo apart. This is what it looks like with the device physically installed.
Wow.
So what happens is you install the device in the game slot. The device has its own built-in game slot that you then put the game into. So every time you insert the game, you're actually, and let me see if I could show you with Blaster Master. But you can actually, the game sticks out slightly, but it's basically, it doesn't look quite the eyesore as the Super Nintendo one. The other thing too is that there's a metal bar that's supposed to be in the there's a metal bar that's supposed to be at the top. You have to take the metal bar off. There's a metal bar usually that goes, you can see the tabs for it right there, goes from here to here, and you have to just take that metal bar right out. Otherwise you can't slide a game into it. But this one does actually allow you to, it looks uglier than sin, but it actually does work. You can use the Game Genie along with it, and it works just fine. So if slow-mo is not enough, you can have slow-mo and you can have classic cheats, and it works just fine.
Is that like a newer thing, or is that old, or how?
Is which a newer thing or older? The game action replay?
Yeah.
No, this is a device that actually came out roughly around the same time as the Game Genie, and Nintendo sued them and won, because the way that it actually works, the reason that Galoob got off was because Galoob was injecting code into the Nintendo Entertainment System, which at the time there wasn't any of this reverse engineering, code injection, security type stuff, right? Games weren't encrypted, all that other stuff. It was just compiled and put on a cartridge. What the Game Action Replay folks did, though, is they download the code into the device, and they actually store snapshots of the code. So if you physically power your machine off, like with the reason why both these devices, you can't see it with the Game Action Replay, because it's built in, like in a Nintendo cartridge. There's actually a pretty big battery inside of it, but this also has batteries, and part of that is because after you power off your system, it's still holding enough of the game data and enough of the system state. You could take this out, or you could take that device out, put it in another console, and as long as the game was the same game, like like Mario Brothers, it doesn't have to be the exact same Mario Brothers, but it has to be a Mario Brothers of the same version. It can replay that on another copy of the same cart on a different console. So, but because they were saving, this never released in the U.S. The other one did for a short period of time. I think it was only like maybe a month or two, and then Nintendo filed for a injunction, won, and the company ended up going out of business. And it was all because basically they were, they did the whole copyright thing. You're stealing our code.
Good old Nintendo.
So.
Now here's a good question. I just wonder. Do you have to blow? Like back in the days, and then stick it in there? Because that's what Nintendo taught me.
Easy, Jeremy.
Honestly, that's what Nintendo taught us kids. Blow and then shove it in. So do we have to do this? Does the light blink?
Does the light blink? Well, here's actually it's an interesting question. I'm not going to directly answer the question that you just asked, but I'm going to segue sharply. Basically, this particular console that I have actually okay, this is a different version of it. I have two different Nintendo Entertainment Systems. One of them has a USB on the back of it, the other one doesn't. At some point, I'm going to actually take this out and put it into... I have a Nintendo Entertainment System that I can plug into my computer that I can then like pause games, download game code. I can actually modify game code on the machine as it's running. So I can kind of use it as like a poor man's debug unit to do development. But part of the reason why I only use that other one as a development unit is because the pins inside are bent. So no amount of blowing on the cartridges, no amount of cleaning the cartridges is going to fix it. Getting a new 72-pin connector is possible, but I think, Jeremy, you've got experience with this, right?
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Like, it's a vice grip, and you're afraid that you're going to, like, destroy your games every time you
get pliers to pull my game out.
Yeah, so what I was going to do is... I was actually going to, and you can't really see it here, but, well, I guess you can kind of see it. Notice the pin back here?
Yeah.
One of the pins is bent backwards on the Game Action Replay, and these go for like over $100. The Game Action Replay itself goes for over $200 now on eBay. When I got it, I got a good deal on it. I got it for like $80. But I noticed that it had a bent pin, so my games wouldn't always work in it because it couldn't always make a solid connection. And I didn't want to take it apart and chance breaking it because it was so expensive, and it's not really easy to fix those pins once they're broken. So one of the things that I usually do is I usually keep the Game Genie actually wedged inside of it because the Game Genie has a thicker board than... Let me see if I can find it. Where's the Game Genie? There it is. But if you'll notice, the Game Genie, which is the gold one, versus Blaster Master, the board, I don't know if you could tell on the thing, but the board is thicker.
Yeah.
Just a bit. So it wedges in, if you stick it in there, it wedges in there better than a game does. So what I usually do is I just leave the Game Genie plugged into the Game Action Replay, and then I leave the Game Action Replay installed into the NES, so it fixes the fact that my pins are loose on the Nintendo, and it covers for the fact that I have a pin that's bent inside the Game Action Replay. And since both of them are just fine and compatible, I just leave the system like that all the time. It's less wear and tear on the console. I don't have to take apart something. It works perfectly fine every single time. Don't have to blow on the cartridges. So I did want to put out there for folks that have a system where maybe the pins don't work as well as they used to. Put your Game Genie in there and just leave it in there.
Yeah, that's what I was planning to do after you told me what that.
That would be my suggestion.
Nintendo's too rough.
I know. Nintendo likes the rough stuff, I think, is what we've learned, right?
Yeah.
The 72 pins are a pain, dude. Both of mine are doing it, and I still get mixed results with mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't buy a new 72 pin. Try to repair the old ones.
Although, another thing something that you probably could do, and you might, this might help. I don't know. Before you install the 72-pin connector, you might be able to do something like maybe wedge a couple credit cards in there.
I did the boil method.
Space the pins out, and then leave it in there for like a week or something, and then install it. I think if you were able to loosen up the pins a bit, it probably would be pretty decent.
Well, I did it recently because Tyler still's my old one, but on the new one, I did the boil method, and I got one of my extra games. And
what's this? What's this?
I don't know. Look, it's good. You black 72 pin, you boil it. Literally boil it.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading that.
Yeah.
And I got it out after a while, and got a game and went in and out, then threw it back in, boiled it again, went in and out, and I kept it in, or I screwed it in real quick, kept it in, and just left it on for 2 months. It seems to work, kinda. Better than what it was.
To our one Canadian viewer who keeps jumping in and out at opportune moments, we were talking about Nintendo cartridges.
Yeah.
So we're purely a rated PG program here. So
I can't remember what I want to work for the 72.
so all that talk about shove it in and blow and then in and out for 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, I do.
It was talking about Nintendo cartridges in your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, I
You know
do
what the
wonder.
method is? You literally
Why
get
did
it
we?
and throw it in there after it boils and let it sit there for about 5 minutes, and it works. It's amazing. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, no, that's not real. But it worked.
Yeah, it's kind of like that trope of throw your keyboard into the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Right?
That
Supposedly that actually works sometimes. The key is to make sure that you allow it to thoroughly dry before you try to use it.
Or throw your cell phone when it's wet into rice.
I did always wonder, why did we do that as kids?
Why did we do what?
Blow the cartridges.
I think it was psychosomatic, right? Like, I think what it was is, like, you do it once, you're like, right? And then you put it in there, and it happens to work. So
Yeah,
like,
but the blinking
must
light
have
was a
fixed it.
pain.
Totally must have fixed it.
And then, like, 5 minutes later, the game blinks.
Yeah.
And
That's because
then the screen pops up.
So there's actually a trick that I use, and I've used this trick on multiple Nintendo Entertainment Systems, the toasters. Works every single time with every single game. I have yet to have this ever not work. I haven't had to ever blow in the cartridge ever. Basically, when you put the cartridge in there, do I have?
I'll try this tomorrow just right now, see if it works.
Yeah. I'm gonna show you a little bit differently than normal, just because I don't have to do it at all on this system. But this is the only system that I have up here today. So, basically, what I do is I'll put the game in, and I'll deliberately, there's just a little bit of play to the left and right with the game, like inside the system, right? And so what I'll do is I'll push this part of the cartridge in the most. I'll put the whole game in, but then I'll push this side in. So this side's definitely seated properly. This side might be a little bit loose, and then I hit the button. And what happens is when you hit the power button, it's going to blink red, right? And it's going to do like it does when it can't read the game.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take the other corner that you didn't apply enough pressure to, and you make sure that's pushed in firmly. It'll still be blinking. The red light will still blink, but you'll see like the title screen now blinking on and off, on and off.
Mm-hmm.
You simply hit reset, game loads just fine. Every single time that works.
I'm trying this tomorrow.
So,
Please. I never had that problem with Sega. So
it works with the original 72-pin connector.
Well, I got to deal with that.
I cannot vouch for replace 72-pin connectors, but to date I've never had to replace a 72-pin connector on any of my Nintendo systems. I just use that trick, and it works every single time. In fact, what I can do, so you don't have to take my word for it, is on an upcoming show I'll actually show you the trick in action so that you can see. But unless the game is just completely filthy, it works every single time.
Yeah. Clean your games.
The more you know.
I believe that is show. Anybody have anything to say? Any news?
yes, I found something out very interesting last night. It's only in Japan right now, but they released a Famicom pretty cover of the new 3DS LL. Kind of like here we had the retro NES. Now there's the Famicom version that's coming out, and it's so pretty. And I want it, but then I go, he's gonna get mad, so I can't get it.
I mean,
Well-
Mario thing, he's got to be pissed as it is.
It's a shame. I wanted to get Cliff's take on. There you are, all dressed up in like Mario garb, surrounded by hedgehogs.
Oh, sorry, I think it's falling. Maybe that's a sign. Sonic's like, I don't like you wearing it.
Yeah, Sonic does not approve. So I don't have any other stuff. I think I spoke plenty.
No, I got nothing.
All right. Well, that's show, folks. Thank you for turning in. We'll be next week, I believe. Not the end of the month. We probably won't be on. So tune in next week. We could have a special guest, or it could just be us. Tune in to find out. Yeah, folks.
Right.
Bye.